I'm Elise Liffrin.
And I'm Damien Fowler.
And welcome to this edition of the Current Podcast.
This week we sit down with Rory Paterson, the Global Vice President of Media at Expedia Group.
The travel tech company owns and operates some of the world's most prominent travel search engines and aggregators, including Expedia.com, Hotels.com, Vrbo, and several others.
Since Rory joined the company more than 7 years ago, he's helped build an in-house hybrid team which supports the company's mission to power travel for everyone, everywhere.
Back when I started, we didn't even use the term performance marketing. In fact, I worked at an SEO agency. We did have some what we called PPC clients, Overture back then, before Google AdWords even existed. And we used to talk to clients about becoming synonymous with certain search terms. So it was as much about branding and building awareness and consideration as it was about performance. And then obviously Google search came along and changed the marketplace quite considerably. So I worked at a search agency for roughly 3.5 years and then moved over to the creative side just as rich media was starting to take off, which was great, very exciting times. And then I moved over to Mediacom, where I really learned the whole craft at working across multiple different brands, verticals. And then I decided to go out on my own and set up an independent consultancy firm. And the first role that I took at, say, was in a TV technology company. It was probably a bit early for that TV technology at the time. That company is no longer in existence, but I subsequently also worked for a TV measurement company called TV Squared, which ultimately was acquired by Innovid. But as part of my consultancy roles, I was always heavily involved in marketing technology, pre-investment due diligence, and looking at large-scaled data sets for programmatic bidding. So yes, now I moved over to Expedia Group and I looking after programmatic predominantly in the EMEA region. And we started to in-house in a hybrid agency construct and then started to expand that across all of our brands and all of our media.
At what point did the industry start to draw marketers with digital expertise into the broader media roles, would you say?
Much of it's time-based. Ultimately, many people who have been in the industry for longer than I have been involved in different cycles of media evolution and different cycles of marketing technology. And I think those who have been through similar cycles in the past, the move from SEO to PPC, for example, they've been through a few of those innovative disruptions in the past, and therefore they may be better placed and have the skills to be able to go through the next round of change, which I think we're starting to see now.
Yeah, we seem to be at an interesting intersection where a lot of traditional media investments are shifting to digital.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think it's, again, just an evolution of how we invest is ultimately how do you think about that full journey of the customer and that full multimedia approach. We see contraction in certain areas and fragmentation in others. And as marketeers, we need to constantly keep ahead of those changes and think, how do I make sure that I'm reaching the right customers in the right place without creating massive amounts of technical complication or, Frankenstacks in different parts of the world for different brands.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you though, we use the word evolving, a lot in marketing and how things evolve, and Expedia brand has evolved quite extensively over its time. I'm wondering, is that evolution driven by consumers and the travel industry, or is it a two-way street? Is it about what you're doing and how that changes consumer behavior? So I guess the question is, how has the media brand sort of evolved over its existence?
Yeah, so Expedia were one of the original OTAs, online travel agents, and we really talk about turning the screen around and allowing the traveler, the customer, to become their own agent. And over the years, Expedia has grown through acquisition. And over the last 2 years, we've been on a journey to make sure we consolidate those acquisitions and awesome travel products to help people travel. We had 21 brands, 73 marketing agencies, 13 of which were media agencies,
wow.
32 CMSs, 7 different loyalty programs. We had a lot of different complexity. And over the last 3 years, we've really started to focus in on fewer better, more focused propositions. So we now have 3 core brands. So Expedia is about made to travel. So made to travel being complex, bigger trips. Hotels.com is about find your perfect somewhere, which is about spontaneous, shorter trips. And Vrbo is about find your perfect somewhere, which is about traveling with larger groups of people in a private whole luxury home. So we now have 3 very core propositions, and we're building innovations on top of each of those propositions to bring best possible product to the traveler. But it's all about innovating and bringing our data to the table and making sure that we've got a great travel proposition for any type of trip.
Yeah, speaking of data, Expedia's CTO, Rathi Murthy, said recently that data is our heartbeat. And Expedia has 168 million loyalty members and more than 60,000 business partners. That seems like, an extensive amount of data. How is all of that trove of data helping travelers?
That's right. And to add to that data, we also have 3 million lodging rooms, vacation rentals, hotel rooms, etc., and work with over 500 airlines, cruise ships, travel providers. And essentially, that translates into 70 petabytes of data. So we utilize that data to bring great experiences to customers and improve the traveler underlying technology, but also the way that people experience our products and services. So we have recently launched ChatGPT within some of our apps. We were the first travel brand to do that. You can now search travel using ChatGPT, and it saves any recommendations into a dashboard that you go and look at afterwards. We started launching innovative products for our travelers, such as price tracking, which comes off the back of all of that great information so that you can track prices on hotel rooms, on air prices that you're interested in. We've also launched multiple smart shopping initiatives, so both better ability to compare and contrast elements of a trip, but also to help customers manage their trip better via virtual agents. And whenever changes or cancellations or additions are required to be made to your trip, you can do that all seamlessly utilizing generative AI.
We're at a moment in time now where booking travel has never been better and easier and more optimized, if I could use that word that everyone likes to use. So I guess this data really allows you to lean into that personalization when it comes to marketing.
That's right. Yeah, and over the last 12 months, we've been consolidating and bringing all of our previous acquisitions. Expedia Group grew through acquisitions. We used to have 21 brands, all with very different marketing stances and technology stacks. We've consolidated that all into the 3 core brands under one technology stack, which enables us to bring great new innovative travel technologies to the market across those core brands of Expedia, Hotels.com, Vrbo. And we believe we're innovating and creating a new travel industry through technology.
So, Rory, with all the data, are there any specific travel trends that marketers should really know about?
So one of the really interesting stats that we pulled out of our recent Traveller Trends report, 2023 Traveller Trends report, is how travelers are being inspired. So there's been a shift, not away from, but less people are being influenced by social media and more people are being influenced by the programs that they watch and the movies and the television shows that they're consuming. So the destinations or the places that are featured within those shows is becoming a real inspiration point, such that more than 2/3 of people say that they've been inspired to travel somewhere on the basis of a streamed show. So it's places like New Zealand, New York, Paris, as you would expect. But one of the other things that we've seen post-pandemic is, there's been a real return to cities. We saw a big decline in cities, obviously, during the pandemic, but international travel is back. One of the big trends that we're seeing at the moment, both for US and UK customers, is a real appetite to travel to Japan. We've seen triple-digit increases in flight searches for Osaka, Tokyo over the last 3-4 months.
Wow. I wonder why that is.
Probably featured in many cool programs.
And I know that The White Lotus has inspired people on HBO to travel.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It's a trend that we love to lean into and work with innovative brands and brands with great content where destinations are front and center. We recently launched an advert for Expedia that we call Wisdom and Obi, which features Kingston, Jamaica. And we've had many examples of that having success for that destination specifically. We also extensively work with destination marketing organizations and taking shows and programming and starting to think about how we can maximize opportunity within that, what we call set jetting.
I like that. And speaking of streaming, we're talking about shows on streaming or premium content. Is there a focus for you on connected TV and that opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose the thing that excites me most is holistic media planning, and CTV is a part of that. But I think, video writ large has become significantly more fragmented. And I think that's where the opportunity lies. It's the bit that gets me excited and many people in the team excited, is around how do we really set ourselves up for success? How do we make sure we're picking the right technology platforms and partners to make sure that we can plan, buy, measure, and repeat in the most effective ways for each of our brands. And we often think about it in terms of through the funnel or through the cycle, whichever perspective you like to take. But it's very important that you're thinking it through, and we're considering the complexities that could come from all of this fragmentation and consolidation. The market never stops moving, so we just need to make sure that we're backing the right partners and working with the right folks and always learning.
And to that point, measurement is a very critical part of that. Could you talk us through a little bit about why that is so significant?
It's a hugely important part. And I think, again, we're in an interesting transitional period. It's no secret that in the US, certainly, there's measurement and currency. People call it wars, but I think, again, it's just a evolution and transition. So at the moment, I've joked with some people that it's getting expensive because ultimately we work with a number of different measurement vendors, but I do see consolidation starting to happen. Of course, it's critically important to understand your target audience and your reach and efficiency curves within that, but also the mid-funnel and lower funnel and how those customers are then subsequently behaving and transacting. And we think about the full customer journey as well, from inspiration through member sign up and app install to booking, and where are the best places for us to identify and help those customers understand the benefits that we can bring to their trip.
Expedia is a global company, obviously, but I'm also curious to hear about how you think about and balance the big picture strategy with marketing when it comes to local contexts. First of all, how many markets are you even in?
We look at markets in a tiering construct, so we look at markets from a tiering construct on the opportunity and the size of the opportunity, our brand strength and our product capabilities within those markets, and of course our supply availability within those markets, and tier markets appropriately as a result of that. I think the thing that, of course, there are many different local nuances across product and the way people shop through to the media opportunities that are available, and obviously the local vernacular and the importance of language and imagery, etc. I think, one of the things that we were most excited about and have done a lot of work in is the Hispanic audience within the US marketplace. So we had some work here at Cannes for 2 amazing pieces of film that were built for the Hispanic audience in the US. One called Casa, which is about traveling for your passion point of football, and the other called Maracuya, which is one name for passion fruit. And passion fruit is a way that people in the Hispanic community can identify where you're from, because there's so many different variations on the word for passion fruit. So we leaned into that insight, working with local teams and working with media partners like Televisa Univision, Telemundo, and our skilled technology platforms to make sure that we were really resonating with that audience and leaning into their cultural zeitgeist and colloquialisms.
Yeah, that's fascinating. We talked a lot for a couple of years about how the pandemic impacted travel and the way people travel. Have you seen a big shift pre and post-pandemic? Have consumer habits changed fundamentally? And how does your marketing reflect that shift?
So we did see some considerable shifts, as you would expect. But the great thing is we're seeing a lot of international travel return, a lot of city travel returning. And as I mentioned previously, the city travel was really an area where we saw massive declines, and it's rapidly coming back as people's wanderlust returns. Likewise, international travel, especially as Asia is reopening, which has taken a little bit longer than other parts of the world, that now, there's real appetite and excitement about getting back to those phenomenal places in the world. So I think those are the main things, but also just thinking some people are more comfortable in certain environments than others. So if we think about the 3 product propositions that we have as a group, we obviously have Expedia for more complex multi-item trips. We have hotels.com for those classic hotel stays, but also vacation rentals where you have a private whole home available to you and your people, essentially. So no matter what kind of travel you're looking for, we'd like to offer a product and proposition that can give you what you want. And I suppose one other really exciting thing that's happening this year, we're launching a combined loyalty program called One Key. It launches in the US next month, and that brings together all of our historical loyalty programs, but it enables you to earn loyalty, One Key cash, we call it, on any trip element across all three of our core brands, and burn those points on any trip element across all three of those brands. So it will be the first time you've ever been able to earn points on a vacation rental and burn those points on a flight with Expedia, or you could earn points on your business travel with Expedia and burn those points on tickets to Disney World. So it's really an unrestricted travel loyalty program to help us all travel more and have a great time.
And as far as your own travel habits, do you travel a lot?
I do travel a lot. I'm one of those people that people in the airport recognize me. I do fly from a small airport in Aberdeen, but I love to travel. I always have. My father was in the Merchant Navy. He probably circumnavigated the world on merchant ships many, many times. And I guess I maybe got that in a hereditary sense. Yeah.
Rory, where's your next vacation?
Our next vacation is actually, I guess it's a staycation, but not quite. So we're staying in Scotland. We have a week in Crieff, which is where the famous actor Ewan McGregor is from, who has also featured in some Expedia advertisements, you may have noticed. And then we are going to the Edinburgh Festival for a week. We're taking our kids and enjoying the colourful fun that is Edinburgh during the Fringe Festival.
And that's it for The Current. Stay tuned because next time we'll be speaking with Kim Granito, the head of marketing at AMC Networks.
We like to say that we're not something for everyone, we're everything to someone. And that has been our distinct positioning in market with advertisers and I think for consumers as well.
The Current podcast is produced by Wonder Media Network. Our theme is by Love and Caliber. The Current team includes Chris Brooklier and Pat Fessy.
And remember,
but it's all about innovating and bringing our data to the table and making sure that we've got a great travel proposition for any type of trip.
I'm Elise.
And I'm Damien.
And we'll see you next time.